what is this? Is this me? I don't identify this way. And it's taken me most of my life to reconcile the duality that I live in, te ao Māori and te ao Pākehā. And because of that split, that duality, I always felt like a fraud. Does anybody resonate with feeling a little bit like a fraud in their life or in their workplace? Anybody? You've got a few nodding heads. Well, that's a good start. Well, I am Monique. I am both Māori and Pākehā. I like to acknowledge that I'm actually an Irish Māori. So both sides of my whānau love to sing. We love to dance a bit. We also love potatoes, beer, and fighting. So we get on quite well. And now that I've worked on reconciling this, I've started writing new stories about how I show up in my life and in the lives of others. So welcome to this day on uncovering imposter syndrome, overcoming it, and losing the labels, because sometimes when we hold on to those things, it limits us from achieving the greatness and the possibilities that we can achieve. So to give you some context, in my whakapapa, I said there that I am a storyteller, he kai kōrero aho. And in the corporate world, I've always wondered to myself, oh, there it is. Oh, gone too far. I always wondered, how do I quantify being a storyteller in te ao Pākehā, which is the business world? Because it sounds a little bit like I sit around a campfire singing Kumbaya and holding hands with people. It's not that kind of storytelling. The type of storytelling that I do works in the keynote speaking space. I'm an MC. I very proudly just won MC of the Year, which was an incredible accolade from Professional Speakers Association of New Zealand. I am a TV presenter. I have worked in television shopping, and I've also worked as the host of a TV show called Guide to Better Living on Sky Channel 83. I'm also a podcaster, which I love. I have a podcast called Uncovering Authenticity, which helps people basically tell their stories in the most meaningful way possible. And I'm a trainer and coach, and I really specialize in the art and craft of storytelling, largely for business. But when I get in to talk to people, I find that the biggest stories that need to be told to yourself are the stories that you tell to yourself. It's about unpacking those stories of self-belief. That's where my work as a speaking coach really starts. So we're going to be diving into that topic today because it's all linked to this topic of imposter syndrome. But what I want to know from you today, and you can talk to the person next to you, apart from me coercing you to come here today or dragging you along, I want to know, why are you here today and what would you like to achieve? So I want you to pair up with the person next to you and I want you to start talking about this topic. Why are you here today? And you can write it down in your workbook there as well. I'm going to give you a minute and a half. Go. All right, team, coming back in 10 seconds. I'll give you 10 seconds, Leon. All right, team, we're back in the room. 3, 2, 1, here we go. If I can have your attention once again, thank you, welcome back. All right, we're going to jump straight into storytelling. Here we go. No, I'm putting you on the spot there. I thought that might wake you up. What I want to know is who feels brave enough to share why they're here today? And there's a reason why I want you to do it, but I'll explain to you once you've done it. Who's brave enough? I made eye contact with you, Agnes. And you know, here's the thing. If you don't want me to pick on you, don't make eye contact. But your beautiful smiling face was looking at me, and I went, I need to know your story. Agnes, why are you here, darling?
I'm here so that I can hear other people's stories, but also feel comfortable telling my own story. I just shared with my new friend here, Jocelyn. One of the things that holds me back from telling my whole story is that I have this inhibition of feeling guarded, and it stops people from, well, it stops me from really sharing that authentic self. And I want to unpack that a little bit.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And there's a reason I want you to share, because I like to give rewards. In honour of today with Monique and Monica, I have mmm's. There you go. We all know that chocolate gives you a little bit of a rush, so congratulations. You are a winner, my friend. Thank you. Give her a round of applause. And I want one more story who is brave enough to share theirs today. Oh, Ellie, over to you, my darling.
For me, because English is my second language, I always doubt myself when I talk with people, and then I really want to get rid of this habit, one. And also at work, I try to be very fair with people and fair, and when I'm fair, people don't like it much, and I doubt myself. So I just want to trust myself and know that if I did something wrong, they will get affected by it.
Beautiful. Give her a round of applause. You are a winner. Awesome. Well, today I'm going to unpack how we create these self-limiting beliefs. And while I am not a doctor, like my fellow doctor here in the audience today, Dr. Leon, I'm very proud to admit he's a doctor of psychology. So curtsy to you, and I recognise and honour the great work that we've chatted about and the work that you've done as well, Leon. What I can tell you is from my lived experience of how I've overcome it. And the reason why I wanted to share this is this understanding of real confidence, authentic confidence, feeling authentic as we show up, feeling embodied in who I am and proud of who I am is only very new for me. Like I said, this entire journey, I had these parts of me that were fighting in how I show up and how I think I might be judged. But at the same time, my job is always very much in the public eye. I was always up on stage. I started training as a speaker when I was 8 years old. I've been on stage most of my life. And while I can perform, being me is not a performance. So how do I bring these pieces of me together and show up in the best and most authentic light possible? And that's why I've stepped into this topic. To do that, I've had to change a whole lot of my own stories about how I see myself. And this work was reflected to me just a few months ago. I was the co-host of a networking group with my lovely partner, Pete. It's called Business and Beyond. And we have people, entrepreneurs, business owners, all sorts of amazing people coming to these meetings for social networking. And there was this gentleman there, this big, tall hedge funds manager. You know, like this. He was a big guy. And I thought, oh gosh, you know, what does little old me have in common with this hedge funds manager? And he came up to me and he said, Monique, I've been watching you all night. And he said, you are so confident. You talk to every single person. You make every single person feel important. You make every person feel like they're the only person in the room and that they matter. You stand up in front of people, you stand in their proximity and you share absolute joy. How are you so confident? And I said to him, because I know who I am, I know what I do, and most importantly, I know how I can serve. And when that came out of my mouth, like no thought, it flowed through me. As I heard it, I went, geez, that was good. I hope I remember that. And then I stopped and I went, gosh, who have I become? And that's when I realised my narratives had completely changed and a whole new me was emerging. And I will say there's something about being a midlife woman that, and I'm going to do a swear, we kind of give less fucks and we're ready to actually get on with the mahi. Would that be fair? Yep. Yeah, beautiful. And that's what we're going to do today. So I want to ask you another reflection question. What are your personal goals? I'm going to give you a moment. Write down, I want 3 personal goals. And it could be overcoming imposter syndrome and getting confident. It could be finding a new role in a business. It could be encouraging my children to grow up independent, strong, and financially independent as well. Write down 3 goals. I'm going to give you 37 seconds. All right, we're looking good. We're looking good. I'm seeing some smiling faces. I'm seeing some folded arms, and the pens are down. No, it's a good folded arms. It's not a defensive folded arms. It's a good. You can sit like that if you like. That's okay too. All right, 37 seconds is up. I want to find who is going to be brave, stand up, and share what their goals are. Because being brave is part of that return feeling of your personal power coming back, and that's how we kick imposter syndrome in the butt. Stand up, Megan, and deliver.
I'm standing.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monique. So things I've put down is I want to explore myself more and extend my capabilities. And I've got great capabilities, but I know I can do more. Set myself up for my retirement years, and that means having lots of fun, doing a lot of travel, spending time with friends and family and people that matter to me, but also still growing. So still growing as a person.
Beautiful.
Myself and still growing. And then basically be the best I can be and love doing it no matter what I'm doing.
Excellent. So we're going to flip the script instantly. And I think Monica might be talking about flipping today. Are you talking about flipping? Beautiful. So you are going to stand up again for me. I want you to turn them into direct statements of things you are doing right now. I am
exploring myself more and exploring my capabilities.
Go. What's the next one?
I am setting myself up for my retirement years so I can have lots of fun,
Mm-hmm.
spending time with people that I love and family. And I am the best I can be, and I love doing it no matter what I'm doing.
See, isn't that powerful? Instant change. Now, the reality is when I say I want to, it's somewhere out there in the future. We use that in marketing. It's called future-focused marketing. You just imagine what could happen if you do this in the future. You'll be amazing. That's how people suck you in media and marketing to get you to buy products. You're not here to buy a product. You're here to live your best life from this present moment on. And that starts with I am. And you get some M&Ms as a prize. Here you go, finally. All right, I need one more brave person who is ready to share their goals. I can't do you again. You made eye contact with me again, Agnes. We can't do that again. Oh, Tanya. All right, I looked at you. It's you, Tanya. Here we go. So you know the drill. We're going to turn it into the present moment. I am. Hold that space and say it with confidence.
I want to stop letting self-doubt hold me back. I will be able to confidently tell my story. I will be able to use my stories to sell my skills and ability to help my people. I can share the above, all of that above with those around me, because that's what I like to do. And I will have the skills to give myself a pep talk when I need it.
Beautiful start. I have the skills to give myself a pep talk. I want to hear you say that.
I have the skills to give myself a pep talk.
Do it again for me.
I have the skills to give myself a pep talk.
We're going to do it with Tanya together. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. I have the skills to give myself a pep talk when I need it. Got it? So that is all about bringing it into the present moment. This is the way we start to change the story. It is that simple. I wish I could say to you, there's a magic potion or a pill that you can take. The reality is finding confidence and finding your identity is a little bit like learning to cook. And disclosure here, I actually can't cook, but I am very confident now. It's an incremental skill. In fact, the fabulous Dr. Brené Brown, she said in one of her interviews, authenticity is a daily practice. And part of my practice is every morning I will get up and I'll go, cool, here she is. Who is she today? And I know from the moment my feet hit the floor, I can create who I want to become. I'm going to say that again. Every day, we can create who we want to become. Does that resonate? Yeehaw. Oh, that was a very quiet resonance, wasn't it? Does that resonate? Yes. Perfect. So the key to my absolute transformation. So as you know, grew up feeling a little bit like a fraud. I knew everybody. I was pretty popular at school. I'm not going to say I was the most academic, but look, I won a lot of awards. You know, I did a lot of performing arts and things like that. But when it came to really finding myself, I've kind of drifted. Has anybody else sort of drifted through their life a bit, or things have just kind of happened? Oh, I was just lucky. All of those things, those are actual imposter syndrome, or the feeling of imposter syndrome statements that we'll be covering today. But for me, the real key to the change in my confidence, would you laugh if I told you that TV shopping was the answer? Just a little laugh. Okay, so this is me. I worked on a TV shopping channel alongside Mike Puru that you can see there. My contract started in 2016. That happened by chance. I was working in a digital agency with Pete. We owned the agency and I was in charge of doing social media. And I felt like a fraud in that because I'm actually quite technologically inept. So doing anything technical was, I felt like a fake. But I was a good storyteller for social. So went into to talk to the channel about taking over their social media. The next thing I know, they go, have you been on camera before? And I went, oh yeah. And they said, oh great. I'd been in 4 feature films, but you know, just a little thing. I was playing it down. They said, yeah, are you interested in sales? Well, my first job was in retail, and retail, coming from a theatre practitioner, is about the study of character. And I loved sales. I loved the journey that I went through with a character in a retail store. So I loved it. It was a great fit. And the next thing I know, they were bringing me in to do a camera test. A week later, I was barely able to, during the camera test, barely able to remember my name or the fact that I was there to present Village Press olive oil, the best product you can use. Apparently, Miranda Harcourt, the great New Zealand actress, uses olive oil on her skin, and that's why she is luminous. I came up with everything you can imagine. I end up getting this job, which was my dream job because the producers and directors didn't know I was obsessed with TV shopping. Oh, I watched hours and hours of it. So to have this job was a dream come true. I absolutely loved it. Until the day that I was given what I call the most useless product in the entire world. And this is called the Magic Tacker. This was my moment, and it was unreal. And if you look at it, it looks a bit like a snail. It's a metal implement that is full of tacks. It sounds quite sexy, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not. It's not. And it's a mix of like a staple gun and a hammer. And you'd put this magic tacker up on the wall, and then you'd press the button, and it puts a tack in the wall. Genius. Yeah, it wasn't cool. And I thought to myself, look, my areas were food, cooking, hair and beauty. You know, those were the things I was interested in until they gave me this. And I just thought, oh, this is, wow, defining moment in my TV career. But the thing is, each hook I learnt when I took the product home, because we lived with the product for a month. When I took it home, each hook held 10 kilos in weight. That's it. So suddenly you start to think, what can I do with these hooks? Actually, this is quite good. And in our apartment, I actually, for the first time, and I can't even assemble those flat pack kit set bookshelves from Kmart. I can't even do that. I put up a whole bookshelf using this thing. Unbelievable. You know those floating bookshelves? Put up these shelves. I thought I was amazing. So then, as we were trained to do, I started coming up with the scenarios and the stories. And I started coming up with, well, imagine you can finally get that treasured family artwork up on the wall so you can look at those memories for years to come. And then I was doing things like you can get those wet towels up off the floor and hang them on a hook in your bathroom. Why not just like put them in the washing machine? But okay, hang them on the wall. Amazing. So I came up with everything you imagine, including, wow, because each hook holds 10 kilos, you could put 8 or 9 up there and hang your neighbour on the wall. You could do anything. I came up with every scenario. And then it came to the day where I was doing live TV across Australia and New Zealand. And we were promoting the Magic Tacker. I thought, this is my moment. I'm in the studio. This is a dream come true. Lights around me, crew everywhere. This is my moment to look like a hero. And I'm there with the Magic Tacker. It's the moment of glory in the middle of the presentation. I put it on the wall, and I just want to offer you a disclaimer. It was a false wall. I put it on the wall, and I lift up my arm looking just like an athlete. It's a word that came out of my mouth. And I smacked that tack into the wall, forgetting that it was a false wall. And the whole wall vibrated. And every single piece of artwork that had been mounted to the wall fell on the ground. And it was one of those slow motion moments. You know, those, And I literally thought in that moment, oh dear God, this is the end of my career. We're live on TV. And what most people didn't know is that we had in-ear monitors. And so at that moment, 3 things happened. One, my producer, Phil, screamed in my ear, oh dear God! So that happened, which is not really supportive, is it? The next thing that happened was that all of the air got sucked out of the whole studio as the entire crew went like that, you know, that moment. And then I realized, and this was where everything changed for me, I realized that nobody else could do this except for me, and that I had to back myself. And I looked down the barrel of the lens, and this, I look back and I think this is genius. I looked down the barrel of the lens and I went, and that's what happens when you don't use the Magic Tacker. So true story. And in that moment, 3 things happened again. Phil in my ear went, oh, thank God. All of the studio crew exhaled and calm was restored. And we went on to sell a lot of Magic Tackers. So that was that moment in my life where I thought, nobody else can do this for me. So what am I going to do for me? And that's when the narrative started changing. So I want to jump into it. Why did I feel like an imposter before that moment? And why do we all feel like imposters? And I want to know from you what you define as feelings of imposter syndrome. No prizes for this. It's a free-for-all. I don't have that many prizes. Tell me, what do you think are feelings of imposter syndrome? Who's got it?
Not enough.
Not enough what? Oh, you're feeling like you're not enough.
Not enough anything.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What other feelings do we have?
Lack of confidence.
Yes. Beautiful. What else have we got?
Weak tone of voice.
Huh? Weak tone of voice. Yeah.
Doubt.
Yeah. Doubt. I write like a doctor, I've just realised. It's fabulous. What other thoughts do we have around imposter syndrome? Shame? Did I hear shame? Shame, fear. Can you think of anything else? Embarrassment? Yes. Oh.
Negative chit-chat.
Yes. Anything else you can think of? Those are all very valid answers, by the way. Now, I'm not going to get you to put your hands up and I'm not going to get you to ask, I'm not going to ask you how many of you have felt that way. Because chances are you've experienced these feelings at some stage. And I'm going to show you the stats of how many people do experience these feelings. And the one thing I do want to do as my way of caring for you is that these feelings are normal. And you would be surprised, especially because we are often so siloed in the work that we do, you would be so surprised that even the Queen, I assume, used to experience these feelings. Pretty much everybody does, where we feel like a bit of a fish trying to climb a tree. The thing is, when you find your real inner confidence, it's that driving force that gets you out of bed in the morning. It's what fuels you. You don't have to generate anything. You just show up. People are more attracted to you, and it's authentic, it's real. People feel the confidence in you. They resonate with that. And that's where I want to get you today. If you have been feeling some of these feelings, if they are really deep, by the way, do ask for help. That's really important. You are not alone. You are a human being having a human experience, and all of these feelings kind of go with the territory. In fact, when I was reading a study on imposter syndrome, I learned about Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga really battles terribly with imposter syndrome. In fact, 70% of the population do on a daily basis. I read this interview with Lady Gaga who said she still feels like that awkward teenager that doesn't fit in. And what gets her out of bed is the fact that her journey as an artist is not about her, it's about the people she serves. And I want you to just keep that in mind. Sometimes when we get overrun with those feelings, stop thinking about you. Think about how you serve. That's absolutely right. Another great example too, Mick Jagger. Pete and I went to America a few years ago, and on the way, Pete bought a copy of Rolling Stone magazine. And he told me all about the fact that Mick Jagger, before he goes on stage, he is just about vomiting in a bucket next to the stage. But as soon as he steps through that curtain, the alter ego of Mick Jagger comes through. It is still him, but this air of confidence comes through. Beyonce is the same. She has created an alter ego called Sasha Fierce, and that's how she deals with her nerves and anxiety. What I want you to take away from today is whatever works best for you. Because I'm going to show you some concepts and ideas, and one thing will resonate. Maybe all of them will. It's entirely up to you. So I want to address how we actually create these self-limiting beliefs, which are the source of imposter syndrome. If you think of do you remember who you were when you were a child? Particularly under the age of about 7. Those are our formative years. When we're really, really young, our brains are like sponges, and our brains are constantly looking for clarity and context around how we understand the world. What we're doing in that time, I believe, is we're creating our operating manual of or our systems manual of how we operate in the world. So we're constantly thinking, this person, that person, this room, this outside, hot, cold. We're learning all of these things, which our brain turns into these incredible stories that we store away in our library. And when it comes to making decisions or doing different things in our life, our brain, leaning into its operating system, and this is the best explanation I've ever heard about how it works, will reach out and index or reference all of these different stories to create context about how we proceed in making that decision. So for example, and this comes back, by the way, from when we were cavemen, as a way to keep ourselves safe. So a caveman might see a saber-toothed tiger over there, and it might look at it and go, oh, nice cat, I shall go and pat. And this was a way for our brains to start creating these systems to support us and keep us alive. So often when we have these self-limiting beliefs going off, these are stories that our brain has written from the time we were little, and they are there to protect us. However, they can get in the way too. And I thought I'd share with you how it happened for me. So this is me and my mum and dad, Morris and Helena Bradley. My dad and my mother, both educators, performers. They met in theatre. Amazing people. You can see Dad, 6'3", 23 stone. So big shoulders of a big giant that I get to stand on. My mum, 5 foot tall, pretty curvy lady. She's super sweet, still teaching in Wellington. Gorgeous humans. I grew up in a house of words. I was born with a million words inside my body, which I now understand is possibly ADHD, but I'm embracing it as a superpower. And this household was amazing because I was encouraged to be whoever I wanted to be. The only challenge was that when I was 18 months old, my dad went blind overnight. He didn't know he had type 2 diabetes, and he had a lot of health problems. At the same time, I was hospitalised because I couldn't walk. Now, I was speaking in sentences and had incredible development of language, but I was developmentally different. I was taken into hospital. The doctors scanned my brain because they thought I might have a tumour on my pituitary or my thyroid. I was abnormally large, really tall, just couldn't walk. They even said to my parents, we're concerned about Monique because she might be retarded. They used that word. That's pretty gross, right? After they scanned my brain, and I was talking to them throughout the whole process, they brought me out to my parents and they said, oh no, we know what's going on here. They looked at my dad and my mum, both big people, and they said, elephants don't make mice. That was their official diagnosis. I know, right? Vanessa, your face. If you said that today, can you imagine that? That would make the front page of the Herald. But this was a story that I heard, and I heard it time and time again. I would hear my parents say, oh gosh, we went to the hospital. This is what they said. Elephants don't make mice. Isn't that disgusting? And that became my story. So that every time I went to school and I got bullied for being the fat kid, I would eat, because that was my source of regeneration and safety. And the more that I got bullied, the more I ate. The more that I didn't know how to deal with my feelings, the more I ate. Sadly, I lost my father when I was 18 years of age from complications of heart disease and diabetes. And he was this mighty tōtara tree who taught me about language and the word and the power of stories. And yet he was gone. So I didn't have him during a really formative time of my life where he could help me write new narratives. When I hit the age of 20, I started experiencing chest pains like my dad did, and heart palpitations. I was a size 24. The last time I weighed myself, I was probably 115 kilos. And when that happened, I thought I was going to die. And so I realized that I needed to change that story. And so I did. In 7 months, 8 months, I lost over 70 kilos. Not in a good way. I ended up with crippling anorexia, and you could see my bones and my rib cage. It was awful. I was wearing children's clothing. And I remember at the time thinking, gosh, this isn't right either. I'm going to reach out to Wellington Eating Disorder Clinic for help. So I did. And they said, your case isn't severe enough. But here, have a worksheet to work out your feelings. And I realized, once again, this isn't the answer. I need to change my story. And so I did. And that journey has taken me 25 years of reconciling the parts of my identity, of not feeling like a fraud, of not personalizing failure, taking it on board and eating my way up a dress size. I have rewritten my entire narrative. And today I'm going to teach you how to do the very same thing. But it starts here. It starts with your brain. Your brain is amazing, but the one thing I want to share with you is while it runs your heart and your lungs, it's actually not the boss of you. Yes, it drives your subconscious, and that's 95% of your daily activity. You know when you drive somewhere and you suddenly can't remember how you got there? You have your subconscious to thank for that. Your subconscious is that library that's holding all of those stories. But the cool thing is 5% of your day is governed by your conscious mind. So to give you an example, right now as I'm drawing your conscious attention to it, you can probably feel your feet in your shoes. You can probably feel the chair underneath your feet, underneath your bottom, sorry. Can you feel that? That's your conscious, intentional mind. That part of the mind is how we change the narrative. It starts from there. It's by consciously going every single day, who am I showing up with and what story am I telling? You can train your brain to focus on your strengths instead of your fears. And that's what I did. It's a constant battle between your subconscious and your conscious. So what do you want to do? Do you want to change some narratives? Beautiful, and you're all conscious and present with me, so we're going to do it now. I want to know, what do you think? I'm going to share with you based on this conversation and elaborating a little bit more, so you really have a definitive answer, the 5 key signs of imposter syndrome. Firstly, the self-doubt spiral. All of these things, I don't even need to read them. You can probably see them up here. Most importantly, it's that statement that we probably don't share with others, but we share with ourselves constantly. I'm not good enough. We need to change that. That is the most definitive one that we can change. I am good enough. I do great things. The next one is perfectionism. This is a big one and something I really struggled for a number of years. My question to you perfectionists, and I've already seen somebody laughing awkwardly because that person possibly identifies as this one. All I can say to a perfectionist is, what are you trying to prove?
I know you're talking to me.
And long term, perfectionism leads to burnout. And I don't want that for you. It's a waste of your pretty. The next thing that we've got here is attributing to success to luck or external factors. This is such a Kiwi thing as well. Oh, I was just lucky. Oh, it just happened for me, Oh, anybody could have done it. That really lends itself to the impact of tall poppy here in New Zealand. So we've got to get rid of that as well. Actually own your success. It's okay to do it. Be proud of who you are. And by the way, I acknowledge it does take time, but it's possible. Fear of exposure. I had this when I was working in a bank, which is a very analytical job. I am not analytical in the slightest. And the entire 18 months that I worked there, I really battled with all of this. I hoped people wouldn't find out that I was an absolute fraud working in finance. And long term, it led to burnout for me. I ended up with crippling RSI, and I really internalized it all and actually ended up quite depressed at the end of that journey. I don't want that for you. Again, it's a waste of all of your pretty and your handsome, Liam. Just to make it equal. And finally, comparing yourself to others. This is the thing I deal with mostly with my clients. I'm looking at somebody on social media and they're doing so much better than me. The answer to this is so simple. Stop looking. I wish I had a magic potion or a bullet. Just stop looking. I don't look, because my journey is mine, and my journey is about how I serve. And that's the most important thing to me. So I know that you're writing some of those notes down. Again, if you want a copy of the slides, I'm happy to send them to you. I want to address imposter syndrome itself. I don't like it. I don't like the term, because it is really easy to hide behind a label. Oh, I couldn't do this because I have imposter syndrome. Again, I'm going to swear, I'm calling bullshit on the label. We need to get rid of it immediately, because that diagnosis is not a cure. You are the cure, my friends. You are the one from this conscious, intentional moment who can make a change. Now, I did a bit of research because I'm good at that, and Wikipedia, obviously a great source of information. A syndrome itself is really just a collection of symptoms, like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is a collection of symptoms. And it's the same here. This was recognised on Wikipedia, obviously not the perfect source, but it gave me some insights. This is not a recognised psychiatric disorder. Depression, anxiety, fear, all of those things, absolutely real. This itself, not a recognised psychiatric disorder, and it's not even featured in the American Psychiatric Association's diagnostic manual. That's a lot to say. And Dr. Valerie Young also said, imposter feelings are a reaction. They are not a reflection of your abilities. And this is really important to know, because the good news for you is it is a feeling, and feelings can change. Remember when you had a crush on the lead singer of a band when you were a teenager, and they were your absolute obsession, and then 2 weeks later you were over it? Feelings can change, and it all depends. It's all based on the stories that we tell ourselves. And in fact, as I mentioned to you, when we're children, 70 to 80% of our core identity is shaped by the age of 7. All of those stories have been embedded in there, and you've started to shape your position in the world, your identity. You've been influenced by all of these other stories, just like I was. But again, that doesn't have to be the story of who you are becoming. That's where we get to make a change. So my question to you, and this is part of your homework, is to ask yourself, who were you when you were 6? By the way, that's not me. Cute kid though, right? So cute. Who were you when you were 6? For me, I used to pretend to be Alison Holst. I would stand in the kitchen and make cheese scones, looking into the window in front of me going, hello, I'm Alison Holst. And it's really interesting thinking back to who that was before we changed, before we got conditioned into being somebody else that we've become, that's led to us feeling like a fraud. All of those feelings, that connection back to who we really were, little us really knew. And it would be interesting for you as an exercise in your workbook to remember who you were. A guy I spoke to recently, Jason Venu from Coversure Insurance, when I asked him this very question, he said, I used to be Batman. And now, what is he doing? He's saving lives, he's saving homes, but through insurance. So it's looking for that common thread of connection to who you were and who you are becoming. Go back to authentic you, because you already knew. And the reason why this is so important too, address that time, but don't get stuck there. There is a problem where people tend to go back, look at these stories, and they start to play the blame game, and we've got to stop that. Some people will blame their parents for all of the things that happened to them. Why not have a look and blame them for your successes as well? Make peace with your past. My father always taught me, look back to learn, look forward to succeed. And as I've just learned in my master's journey, we call this looking through the eyes of onamata, the looking behind us, and through anamata, which is looking forward. So stand in the present moment, look back, acknowledge and address it and go, that's cool, that happened, but that's not happening right now. And look forward to create your life that you want. So how do we do that? By answering this question. This is part of it. What's been your greatest achievement or success? This is part of your homework. Start focusing on the consciously and intentionally on the positives. Stop from today telling people that you struggle with imposter syndrome. Screw it. It's a feeling, and feelings change. Start creating a new narrative. I want you also to spend some time getting ready to make this change. Like I've said here, who's ready to make a change? Are you ready to make a change? Yeah. Oh, good, excellent, good, excellent. Let's do it. Oh, yes. I want you to spend some time thinking about, in a perfect world, what would life look like if you knew you could not fail? And then turn that into the I am statements that we did before with Tanya, or the I have statements that we did with Megan as well, I am. This is part of your homework. I want you to practice some self-compassion, for goodness sake. If you had a friend who was talking to themselves in this way, would you reach out and go, hey, come on now, you're better than this? So when are you going to start doing that to yourself? Our greatest friendship we can have is with ourselves. The other thing I want you to do, and it's on a page in your book, to do what Beyonce did. I want you to name your inner critic, or not Beyonce, sorry. I want you to name your inner critic. The reason why I say this is that I worked with a woman from Radio New Zealand. Her name's Megan, and she is an announcer on Radio New Zealand. She does a lot of talkback. I interviewed her for Diabetes New Zealand, and she talked about the fact that she was having trouble. She has type 2 diabetes, and she was struggling going to the gym. She couldn't get the motivation to go. And she was texting a friend, and she said, I'm really struggling to get the motivation. I know it'll be good for me, but I'm just not feeling motivated. I don't feel good about myself. My stupid brain is getting in the way. And the word brain auto-corrected to Brian. And so she named her inner critic Brian, so that she can say, not today, Brian, I'm in charge. And I've written that in your book. So I want you to spend some time thinking about your inner critic and name them. Because suddenly that's a thing over there that you can say no and you can walk away. And it's really simple. These are physical things that activate change. What I'm working on is helping you change your state. When you change your state, your feeling of personal empowerment starts to activate again. Now, the other thing I want to share, and these are all things that have worked for me. Sasha Fierce, like I said with Beyonce, created an alter ego. And we're going to do this physically. I want everybody to stand up. And then I want you to write about this in your workbook. How does your alter ego, how does a confident, powerful version of you stand? Show me. Is it like this? No, it's shoulders back. Is it your feet hip distance apart? How do they hold their hands? Find your power pose. Has anybody watched Ted Lasso? Okay, so you notice that the woman who is the big boss, before she goes into a meeting, she will stand like this, like Wonder Woman, or whatever your power pose is. Some people will power pose like this because that's meaningful for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to look away. I'm going to count to 3 and we're all going to power pose together. 1, 2, 3. How do you feel? It feels a bit ridiculous. Oh, I like that. How does it feel? Does it feel good? Oh, I like that. Okay, we're going to try it again one more time. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. This time we're going to do it, and when we do it, we're going to say, I am enough. Are you ready? Here we go. Relax. Or as we say in Māori, ki raro. Beautiful. Hope. No, going. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I am enough. Oh, no, I'm not feeling it. Let's try it again. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I am enough. Beautiful. If you do that every day, I can guarantee you will change your state and start rewriting those stories. It is so simple, but it works. Inoho. The other thing that really helps in changing your narrative is identifying your strengths. And I know I'm giving you a lot, but I'm just about done. Is identifying your strengths. Sometimes it's really easy for us to go, oh, that time that I failed, that time where I got up on stage and somebody laughed at me because I said bum, or whatever those stories are. When you start focusing on the strengths that you live with, the strengths, looking at your whakapapa, your professional whakapapa, and really embracing all of those achievements that you have had, that's when these changes start to happen. And again, if you need an accountability buddy, you're sitting next to one at your table. Make some time to chat to them over lunch and start working on these things immediately. And finally, I am so excited about this. This is one of the most powerful affirmations that I use that really cemented my confidence. I want you to say this with me. 3, 2, 1. I am capable. I deserve this, and I can succeed. Bigger. I am capable, I can deserve this, and I can succeed. Now, some people who are very tactile, very kinesthetic, like to put a hand on the chest and a hand on the stomach so they feel supported. Try this with me again. 3, 2, 1. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. So I will do this when I meditate, and I do that to calm my brain because there's a lot going on there. We'll try it one more time. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. So the more that you start to do this, the more that you write these stories. And then, if you want to turn it on, add the steroids, I'm going to teach you very quickly temporal tapping. But around behind the ear, this is an age-old energy technique. Around behind the ear is the temporal bone behind the ear. And this is responsible for calming down all the tension in the nervous system associated with old habits. And we can use it to calm that down and also program in a new habit or belief. So take your hand like this. You're going to use, I find it hard, but you're going to use the pads of your fingers. And around that temporal bone, around the ear, you're going to do a semicircle shape, round back and forward, and this will start to change these beliefs. So say it with me, 3, 2, 1. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. Do this every day, multiple times when you're in the car. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. Wherever you are, you're in a bar. Hello, nice to see you. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. Going to pick up the kids from school. I am capable, I deserve this, and I can succeed. Do it. The more times you tell yourself this, the more it becomes your story.
On any side.
Particularly the right. But give it a go on both and see what works for you. When you did that, how did you feel? Was there resistance or was it okay? It's a bit odd, isn't it? But it actually works. And these are things that have actually worked for me. Why I love it is because this has helped me change my story. All of these things I've shared with you today that you'll do for homework. I've learnt that impossible became I'm possible. And that's what I want for you. So, in closing, at the very beginning I said, he kai kōrero aho, I am a storyteller, and so are you. So from this conscious, intentional moment, I encourage you to make your message meaningful. Engari, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you.